That's right, people. It's hobby nonsense time. Welcome in. How are you, everyone? Good to have you. I've often wondered what would a world be like where I could just talk to people that were responding back to me. I'm so glad today is a day where that kind of happens. Let's test it out. I'm just gonna put it out there. Let's see if you guys in the audience, if I'll hear you say something back. How's it going today? Ray, that's your cue.
Is that my cue?
Yeah, Ray, that's your cue.
Okay. You were just kind of like looking at the ceiling, like hopefully like
I should have given you the eye contact.
Yeah. Hi, Jesse. How are you today?
Hey, whoa. It's like I just heard you guys back into my ears. That's so nice. Ray's back in the studio.
I'm back, baby.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for coming at such short notice. I really do appreciate that.
Hey, I'm here.
Thank you for...
I'm here to support my friend,
your
Jesse
love
Gibson.
of non-sport cards as well. I assume that's why you're also here. Well, Pokemon specifically,
yeah.
but also just...
Yeah.
Let's just call
I'm here to have a good time.
That's what it's...
You know?
I mean, what people don't see...
Maybe
you're not watching...
Leave, get a burger.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Bro.
You never know. The night is young.
We got like Monopoly. We're gonna play Monopoly, the board game later. Probably it's gonna be we got sleeping bags in the other room.
We're just gonna have
the Super Nintendo set up. Yeah, it's a whole party.
Crank
guys.
up the Saint Lunatics on.
Dude, I forgot about Saint Lunatic. That's funny. Guys, welcome to the show. It is the first show after Fanatics Fest. It is a very interesting thing because we've had so much to talk about with sports cards because of Fanatics Fest. But today I'm going to put a little bit of a spin on it in the sense that we had a lot of experience, or when I say we, I/anybody who attended saw that there were a lot of people still promoting and pushing non-sport things, and that includes Pokemon, which we know and love.
I'm excited to hear your perspective on the non-sports at Fanatics Fest. I know that just in general, my social media was going crazy with all the V-Friends stuff that was going on.
So V-Friends was a big part of it, and I'm going to talk about a little bit of V-Friends stuff. Actually, before we get too far into it, I did want to pull in a dealer that was set up that was doing, I don't know if it was only Pokemon. I do think they had a few soccer and some other stuff there too, but it was a large amount of non-sports, specifically Pokemon cards. So Bryce Joyner is his name. I think his card shop is Joy Nerd, which I like. Nerd.
It's like a little bit of a pun there.
Yeah, on the last name. It's silly. I'm sorry. I'll never use the word silly seriously again. Let me give...
Kooky. Let's do that.
Kooky. It was a little kooky. We're going to give our boy Bryce a call and get his perspective on things as a dealer at the show.
Well, looky there.
Lucky who we have. Bryce Joyner, Joy Nerd, if you will. How are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing very well, very well. Just so you know, I also have Ray Solorio. He is the co-host of today's episode.
Hey, buddy.
So that's Ray.
How's it going, Ray?
Good.
He is also a big Pokemon guy. So you guys are going to be
Come on, we're going to link up together.
Good company here.
Like Voltron.
Awesome. Never can have too many of us, man.
I kind of pointed this in the direction of I wanted you to come on because you have a perspective that a lot of people who went to the show weren't even trying to have, which was what's it like as a Pokemon dealer at this show? And that's one thing I haven't really heard much about at this point. And I know because you guys were very, very kind to me. When I could not find the table that I was originally going to set some of my stuff at, I saw Bryce.
Like a lost nomad.
Yes, I was just like, I was looking around. I looked scared, lost, probably a little hungry.
Where are my parents?
And, where are my parents? And Bryce called me out of the crowd. He said, come over here, young one. Put your things here. And I noticed that you had a very large section of Pokemon. You also had, did you also have some sports cards as well, or was that the
exact other half of it was. So most of the stuff that you saw was on the side that I deal with most with, because my partner focuses on the sports side and I focus on the Pokemon and sports side. But yeah, we had the same amount of sports cards on the other side of the booth.
Okay, so I'm very curious. You were one of the guys who had the Pokemon. So how did you do overall? Like, and if you don't feel comfortable giving numbers, that's okay. If you want to give numbers, even better. But I'm curious, overall, how did you feel the performance of selling Pokemon at a show that is geared towards sports fans went?
You know, it's funny because this weekend I'll be set up at Cleveland Collecticon for the first time, and
Oh.
I've never really wanted to set up at primary TCG shows because I like being the token TCG guy at sports shows, or I guess this weekend I'll be doing the same thing with sports at the Collecticon. So I kind of like having both sides of the table being available.
Yeah, absolutely. I could see that. Well, then at this show, how did it go for you? Did you?
It was an amazing show. I mean,
Really? Okay.
we were luckily placed in a great area where a lot of people had to walk by to get to certain venues that they wanted, like LeBron James, Tom Brady speaking, Kevin Hart, everyone on stage. And then it would kind of back up, and then everyone would be like, ooh, like, what's this stuff going on? And then they stopped by our booth. They were doing tours and a bunch of other stuff for a lot of athletes, and that's how I met Cole Anthony. And Cole stopped by the booth afterwards and found out he's a big Pokemon fan. And so that was a lot of fun too. But I think overall we cleared close to 80 to 85,000 this weekend in just sales for Pokemon.
Wow, that is insane. I mean, and let me ask you too, when you were selling Pokemon cards, did you feel like you were having to come down? Like, you know, some of these shows, it's like, all right,
Yeah,
I'll move this.
That's
at 80%.
kind of the battle that a lot of people will fight here at sports shows, especially with resale being a lot more prevalent. I've noticed that like the Pokemon shows or Pokemon trade nights or TCG or whatever, there's not a lot of negotiation, but at sports shows there always is. So you kind of gotta prepare for that mentally when you're walking in if you want to be able to do that. But yeah, I usually do a lot of trades and things like that at sports shows for that reason. I kind of use the example when I'm, you know, talking to people about TCG player with sports guys. Is kind of like teaching a new baby to walk. It's like sports guys will look at it like, you know, I've got to, you know, make a little bit. Why would I use TCG player comps or a marketplace that goes for like 10 to 15% more when eBay has comps and sales that are going for 10 to 15% less? Why would I do that?
Sure.
And I think that's the biggest battle we fight. But once you get past that point, you know, it's definitely a lot easier of a marketplace to deal with. So I try to stick to graded cards so I don't have to fight that battle for both worlds.
So then at this show, were you finding it pretty easy to negotiate with people then? Like, were you already priced at a point where because you're not selling this stuff, you're not pricing it at, you know, 80% below. You would probably figure if you need to negotiate, you might need to, you know, come down off of whatever that high is. But I've heard from several guys where they said, oh, I didn't really have to negotiate too much in a lot of cases. You know, there was some, but I didn't feel like, I, you know, had the worst end of that deal for most cases.
You know, I think that part of not having, I didn't have to negotiate a lot for this show, but I wouldn't say that's the normal.
Sure.
I
but
think
now,
that
that's what I
New
really
York
am more,
City's a little bit different.
and that's what I'm more curious about is this show specifically, not shows in general, but this show specifically, did it feel like it was a different breed of show than other ones that you've gone to for setting up?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think that, you know, a lot of people forget being New York City, you know, you think, all the money that's there. But, you know, one of the things you don't think about is how much real estate costs and all that other stuff. So to have a good shop in New York City is very difficult.
Yeah.
And so that means that a lot of people that do cards go to these certain shops and they can't pay as strongly as they do other places around the country. And so when you have a show like this that brings in people from different states that can pay differently, man, they feel like 70% is like you paying them 90.
Wow.
And so it can be ideal for a lot of customers that come up. I had a couple of deals reminding me of last year that I had to turn on my metas that are like security glasses for me because I was like, man, is this deal too good? Yeah, did these guys steal this?
Oh, really? Wow.
And so I just needed to make sure that, you know, we were taking care of on both fronts. But no, it's just that they don't get a lot of good activity or people buying their cards outside of their own show. Like this small little like church I heard is a local show that they do in the basement where the guy that promotes it doesn't have like costs. And so they'll pack the church. But other than that, they don't have like a big venue church or like card show or anything like that. So this is like really good for the community too.
I'm just curious to know what percentage of raw to graded Pokemon cards you were selling? Because I know that and you know this, Bryce, that in the Pokemon world, the condition of the card is super important to know.
Everything.
It's everything. It's everything. So the TCG player, from a person that's coming from the sports world, they don't really understand near mint,
Oh yeah.
Lightly played, moderately played, damaged. That can be, $100 card to like $10 card depending on the condition.
Oh man.
So I'm just curious to know
absolutely.
what percentage of cards did you sell that were raw and what percentage were graded cards. And graded cards, that's easy. Everyone looks at comps, eBay comps. They go to Card Ladder or I have noticed that a lot of the Pokemon people, the buying and selling, use alt. That's like the one where people like to get the comps from.
Oh, interesting.
So I'm just curious to know your perspective on that from the selling dealer perspective.
Most shows I would say that I sell a lot of like raw cards. This one I don't know if I sold one.
Oh,
and that's really I think about the sports cards market more than it is about the TCG market because it, like you said, alt is actually what we use because it's pulling from the serial number. We don't have to worry about, like an eBay listing that went off that forgot to put XYZ in the title listing.
Interesting.
Just a lot of things like that going on. And I think that the sports guys feel much more comfortable about it. My partner Theo actually started with me in January and loves to do the Pokemon dealing, but he will not deal on raw cards because of that same reason. Like, hey, Bryce, these cards are light play, right? Well, it doesn't compute. Light play is damaged.
Interesting.
Kind of like I was talking about at the beginning with trying to teach a toddler to re-walk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They just got to relearn what they've learned, and some people aren't willing to do that, nor do they understand why they would want to.
Yeah, there's a lot of intricacies, especially if you don't know the lingo. It's like, hey, you got an LP raw cards with swirls?
Yeah.
People are going to be like, what is that? What are you talking about?
I have to draw those on my like slab sleeves now, like little swirls, like I'm an artist or something to show. Oh, look, there's a little swirl right there. Well, why does that matter?
It brings a premium.
Okay, so what I'm hearing, and I want to come back to the swirl talk later because I pulled a card with a swirl the other day. Baby. But for you, Bryce, because I know you don't have a ton of time, I am just curious. So it was, from what I was told, it was $3,000 to set up at this show as a dealer. That's a lot of money in most cases. So for you, who's doing Pokemon, now granted, I think yours, from what I saw, it looked like you had a number of higher-end Pokemon cards. Did you feel like it was worth it for that price?
Hands down.
Okay.
And I can't, now every year I go into it, I'm terrified because that's abnormal price point, right?
Sure.
But the first year I did it to get my foot in the door as a Fanatic vendor because I thought this, had a real chance. Glad I did. Then this year, doing it again, you have to hold that. It was actually like $3,700 something to like finish the booth and everything else, like payment wise. But you had to hold that basically since September.
Oh wow!
And that's like basically a partial loan for somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's really putting your money where your mouth is on the show. And for me, I really can't reiterate enough, especially with kind of going off the books of TCG a little bit, but like Roth selling that $100,000 or $500,000 card at that show, like really opens doors to like, hey, there are athletes here and there are big names here that you might have the opportunity to sell a massive monster to.
Let me ask you, did you think that Roth sale, because he's talking about, if you didn't see,
who was
Jaden Daniels.
Jaden Daniels. But he won like $1 million, right?
Well, he first said $1 million, and then I think he said $2 million even at one point. But he came down and he said that Serena Williams' husband had offered like a $250,000 bounty at one point. That was before he went off, before the card was graded. So they ended up settling at $500,000. I'm curious.
Straight cash, homie?
Straight cash, homie. I'm telling you, baby.
Straight cash, homie.
The question being, though, Did you feel like that was manufactured, like that deal was set up ahead of time? Because Mike and I talked about this on the other pod, and I don't know. To me, it felt very real, organic. But I'm curious what you thought. Because
I'm not going to name drop, but I have a dealer that said that he had Michael Rubin walk up and say, "Hey, what do you think about this price point for this card?" And that was earlier in the day. So I think that there was talks about like that before, but I don't think that it was more of a like impulsive thing like maybe we thought it was. I think it was thought upon.
Yeah, it was. Okay, that's good to know. I really appreciate that. So
it's like 50-50 almost.
So from what you're saying is you heard from another dealer that Ruben approached asking specifically about the finite black 1/1 Jaden Daniels, what would that be valued at? And that way we're kind of assuming maybe there was a little planning ahead before that all went down at the trade night.
Correct. And that's just hearsay, like I read it on a friend's Facebook page that, hey, we got a picture with Ruben and he was asking about this and what we thought. And that was pretty cool to see at least that he's talking to dealers that do this every day. You know what I mean? And not just the dealer that does this every day, but he's at a show every weekend that's a monster type show.
And I say that as the fact that Cole Anthony came to your booth, and that wasn't planned, right? Like I never asked you.
That was not planned.
Okay, I didn't think
that was not planned, and that was the coolest thing. Because I collected Cole Anthony growing, like when I was early into my collecting again of prospects, and I saw a tour group going by, and it was led by like someone from Fanatics, and then it was Aaron Donald right behind him, Colby White, and Cooper Flagg. And then I saw Cole Anthony, and all of them I just said hi to, but Cole, I was like, whoa, come here. I got to shake your hand. Like, I tell you that I collect you, that I believe in you. I'm excited for you to be on the now traded to Grizzlies.
Wow.
And he was like, hey, I'll be back. But I didn't catch that until I watched it in the video again because I was kind of starstruck.
Dude, that's so cool.
And then later on in the day, I just kind of was talking to Theo on my right side and turned to my left, and there's Cole and his little friend team, and he said, I told you I'd be back. I was like, whoa, this is crazy. And then you walked up, and we got all that kind of unfold.
And he remembered you. That's awesome, man.
He did remember me, and that's what made it even more special.
Dang.
It was really cool.
Bryce, where can guys find you if they want to come and look at what you've got or what you're selling?
Yeah, I appreciate that. So you can definitely check us out on Instagram at Joy Nerds Cards. And then my partners, Indie Breaks, we break on Whatnot, and we do some other things there too for the sports side. And then if you're ever looking for a card, we travel across the country doing singles and working with card shops across the Midwest. So definitely let us know at joynerdscards.com.
Perfect. Nice. Thank you again, Bryce. Really do appreciate you jumping on here, man.
No problem, my man. Take care and keep doing big things.
All right, buddy. Talk to you soon.
See ya, Bryce.
As a Pokemon dealer, it sounds like, I mean,
I was
even for 3,000.
Yeah,
I mean, it sounds like it was still a good deal.
I'm curious to see what the price per table would have been at a Collecticon compared to Fanatics.
Yeah, I am too. Well, and here's the thing: those Collecticons, they move around the country, but there's also multiple a year. So I would think
it would be cheaper,
as many
for sure.
Yeah,
but I'm just curious to know what kind of product he had on the table. Like if it was. I know. What did he say? $80,000 worth of
like
Pokemon?
$80,000 worth of Pokemon.
So I mean,
cards.
I'm thinking crystals, ponchos, gold stars.
He definitely had some ponchos on there. I saw some gold. I think there were some gold stars on there. Yeah, I can't remember everything. I remember there was like $1,000 deal while I was just standing there at one point, and it just seemed like the course of, it wasn't like a big thing at that moment. It was just like. Just one of the many deals that happened to go over the course of the day. So, yeah, overall, because it's pretty straightforward. We talked about on the SCN pod. There's a lot of guys who felt the same way, but they were more sports oriented. Mm-hmm. I wanted to hear about from someone who was focused more on the Pokemon / non-sport. So
you were there, of course.
I was there.
You were there. I was live and in living color.
One day I was there, and Sports Boy was there the other day.
Oh,
Sports
the
Boy
alter ego
was there on Friday. He was in a full get up. And did you see that video?
No,
you didn't see that?
No,
bro.
What's the gimmick?
You'll just have to see it. I can't because I'd play you the video, but the audio really helps it, and I can't play the audio.
I gotcha.
But that being said, I had a outfit on. I'll just tell the audience in case you did not see. I was wearing one of my cloaks that I've worn for some Star Wars stuff when I'm doing breaks and things like that. I also had a lacrosse stick in my hand.
Okay.
And I had a big, actually this right here, this nice big gold chain necklace with the Sports Cards Nonsense logo on there. I don't have a Hobby Nonsense necklace yet. Not yet, but it's coming.
Why did you have a lacrosse stick?
So several people have asked that question. Let me answer. Why did I have a lacrosse stick? The lacrosse stick was really meant to symbolize all sports, really.
The lacrosse stick.
The lacrosse stick.
Nothing symbolizes all sports.
Like a lacrosse stick. That's what I've said. I think many people have written about that. I'm sure it's in the history books that the lacrosse stick was the first stick in any sport. But that being said, I had a Fanatics person come up to me, actually, who did not know who I was, and asked me, what really digging your vibe. What's this all about? And I was like, I just want people to know. And I said this very seriously. I did not smile. As sports boy, I take sports very seriously. And I told them the lacrosse stick is meant to represent all sports, but also, and I would hold it up to the sky and I'd say, it's also meant to reach for your dreams. And I just want everybody to know that's what I'm here to promote.
Come on.
Positivity and believing in yourself. And that was the whole sports boy shtick. As I would walk around, I had several people stop me.
So
and
sports
ask,
boy would be a baby face in the wrestling terms. Reach for your goals.
What's that? What's a baby?
A good guy.
That's a baby face?
Yeah.
That's a good guy?
A face.
Oh, okay.
Heel's a bad guy.
Really? A
heel's a bad guy?
No, a face is a good guy?
Yeah, a baby face.
A baby face is a good guy and a heel's a bad. I've heard
Correct.
heel, but I did not know baby face.
White meat baby face.
I'm a white meat baby face, baby. Oh, do I like that?
Yeah, come on. Reach for your dreams.
So I had it was like more of an ominous look, but I was a very positive figure overall. And I had several people stopping, like a lot of kids stopping and asking if they can take their photo with me. A couple guys interviewed me. I don't know what the interview was.
Did you tell them to reach for their dreams?
I did. I told them all of the things that Sports Boy believes in.
So out of all the celebrities, all the hoopla around Fanatics Fest, these people made it a point to come and interview this person that they didn't know who you are.
If you saw what I looked like, and especially at my stature, and I'm wearing like all black, people like there's several people who are like, "Are you the Undertaker?" And I'm like, well, and
that would have been a terrible Undertaker.
I'm thinking like WWE is here. Are they referencing that Undertaker, or do they think I'm actually
like your
just
occupation?
Like, exactly. I don't know what they thought, but I can tell you, I was not the Undertaker. I was simply Sports Boy representing an ominous yet very positive outlook.
Is this a reoccurring character?
It may be. It may be.
Gimmick?
I have the lacrosse stick still. I have the cloak. I have the necklace. Now, granted, as a fan of Hobby Nonsense and promoting the non-sport world, it was funny to do that at Fanatics because of the fact that it is very much a sports-oriented thing. But if you're going to do that at any card show / sporting event, it is Fanatics because that's what it is. It's meant
like
to be
the national meets Comic-Con.
Exactly. It's supposed to be the Comic-Con for sports. And that's where I was like, you know what? And I wanted to dress up as it, and I knew I wouldn't be alone. And I wasn't. There were several other people dressed up as either people they liked or their own version of a character or
like
something else.
Tell me some.
There was a guy
cosplays.
who is dressed up in like Ohio State University gear. Like it wasn't, but he had a cape on, but he also had face paint on, and he was
like an Ohio State fan.
He was just like a fan of that team. And then you would see other people just fanning out on their teams.
Okay.
And then you would see people actually dressed up as individual athletes. But yeah,
individual isn't
like
okay,
just an athlete, not a whole team is what I mean by
so
that.
Like what? Like people
So
are
like-
dressed up like Kevin Durant? Let me ask you this question, Jesse.
Okay,
So
go for it.
This is a sports thing.
Yes.
And so all the vendors, what percentage of the vendors that were there do you think they were selling non-sport cards?
Had some kind
or
of non-sport card
memorabilia?
with them. I would say a strong 50 to 60%.
Really?
I would like it could have been actually higher than that. Because
So out of everybody there, 50% of the people that were there were selling non-sport
of some
items.
kind. They would have a little bit of non-sport there. Now,
Okay.
some of that was Pop Century. I saw
Okay.
a number of cards there. I didn't feel like anybody had stuff wildly overpriced either. There was one thing where, and I'll post this video up. Again, this is another thing I'm kind of stealing from the SCN show, but I did see a guy set up with a bunch of signed baseballs, but they were all autographed by celebrities. So you had like, one of my favorite duos they had right next to each other was Michael J. Fox.
Oh,
Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd. But you had political stars. Yeah, you had, Bill Clinton, Monica Lewinsky in there. But then you would have
the same on a baseball?
Not on the same baseball, just on different baseballs.
Like,
all
that
next
would
to
be
each other.
dope.
It would be kind of insane, yeah. But then there was a Chris Farley, David Spade right next to each other. There was Bill Murray. There was pretty much like, if you could probably name a very popular, funny, or probably funny. I'd see there was more funny people on there. Mel Gibson was
Chevy
on
Chase.
there, but also Danny
Glover.
I wanted to say Danny Aykroyd for some reason.
Dan Aykroyd.
Dan Aykroyd, yeah. Not Dan Aykroyd was probably on one too. Chevy Chase was on one, yes. Yeah. And then they did have a baby.
Who's the guy that Leslie Nielsen? The Naked
yes.
Gun guy?
Yeah. I don't know if he was on there. I didn't see, but I have footage. I'll go back and check because I am very curious now. But anyways, that being said, a lot of other people did have Pokemon. Not many were set up specifically just for Pokemon.
Yeah, but
they still had some. And then they would have. I'm starting to see this, which I appreciate, more of the Topps non-sport cards, because you would think, like, especially at Fanatics events, you would see these more often. But I don't know. I haven't seen them at all that many shows, graded stuff. Maybe it's because there's a lot of collectors out there who are just holding it and not looking to sell. But yes, Marvel, some Star Wars, some really cool Star Wars, some older Star Wars stuff too. Not like 1977 old, but like earlier 2000s stuff where some people don't know about all the cool cards they had like in the earlier 2000s of Star Wars. But there was a number of those as well. So
you also went last year, right, Jesse?
I did, yes.
So compared to last year, has the percentage of non-sports increased since last year?
Absolutely. Yeah, I honestly, I don't remember going last year and thinking, there's a good amount of options here for the non-sport fan. In fact, I think that was one of my complaints was like, I just don't have that many options to choose from if I'm not going after a sports card. I think it would have been foolish for them, for people to come this year and not do that, given the amount of younger kids that were there and how popular Pokemon is among that audience. But also the fact that the Star Wars market, the Marvel market right now specifically, they're all very hot. You would see other like people there, like David Adams, Steel City. In fact, I walked in Friday morning and I went to Steel City because I was like, hey, I've got a box of 2025 Marvel Chrome, Topps Chrome that just came out, and the prices have gotten jacked up. They're selling it for, I don't know, $5.80 or something a box. And I was curious, like, hey, how much are you guys selling that for? They said they'd already sold out of it. And it was Friday morning, the morning of the first day.
Wow.
And so I was just like, wow, okay, well, that's good to know. I don't know exactly what it was selling for, but that's everybody else I talked to who had any 2025, that already got sold out. There was a few guys, Soccer Cards United brought some 2024 Marvel cases. Those, I don't remember how many they brought, but they sold all of theirs. And then they just had a few like 2024 Disney cases, which are also very popular. The Marvel, just so you know, Marvel 2024 cases go for like $7,500, give or take. The Disney stuff goes for like over $10,000 for a 2024 case. So yeah, people not only had it there, but there were people buying it as well.
Wow.
So yeah. So
spenders.
Fanatics Fest, not just about sports cards, non-sports were represented and apparently did well too. I was very happy to hear
Who
that.
was your favorite celebrity that you saw there or got to meet? Did you meet anybody?
No, I didn't really meet any. I mean,
Because they all wanted to meet you.
that's what
The
it was.
sports boy
I mean,
with
I
the
don't.
lacrosse stick.
Yeah, that was probably it. Thank you.
Like
So-
Kevin Hart came in.
I
and
don't know
you-
how to respond to positive comments and feedback like I on this podcast. I'm not used to having a podcast. That's a shot directly at Michael Giuseppe. Thank you very much. But no, I don't remember being like oohed or awed over many, because a lot of them, I'll tell you, the sports guys, some of them, many of
come
them,
on, hot take.
many of them felt like, oh, they're into this, or they're at least like they're not against it.
They're
I
part.
saw-
They're part of
they're part of whatever's happening
Yeah.
here. They're part, whether they're like being paid to be here.
They're there to have a good
or
time.
But it's like, okay,
They're collecting a check.
yes. Now, I also
Except
saw
for
Emma Roberts and I saw Logan Paul on a panel, and I'm like, this is brutal. They don't seem
why
like
were
they
they
want to.
together?
They were talking. Honestly, I don't even remember everything. Logan Paul,
WWE
announced some-
superstar Logan Paul.
Yeah, that's the one and only. Apparently, he also did some YouTube and has a podcast.
Oh.
But no, he was there and he was promoting his podcast, which apparently, and you kind of started to get the feel like, oh,
Impulsive.
I see what's
Yeah,
going
it's
on.
just
They
like a
just
thing.
got sponsored by Fanatics, so now it's like a impulsive Fanatics thing. And then Emma Roberts has been all over social media because she's opening up all these cards. And now I'm starting like
I
at
don't think
first.
I know who Emma Roberts
Emma
is.
Roberts was in, I think she was in like Madam Web, which is a just awful movie. I'm sorry I even referenced
She
it.
played Madam Web?
No, she wasn't Madam Web, but she was one of the other characters. I
Okay.
can't remember which one. But
I'm gonna have
she's
to look it up.
Julia Roberts'
Oh, they kinfolk?
niece or daughter. Now I can't remember that. I think it's niece. But bottom line is she's a person who's been on social media. She's an actress, but she's been on social media for ripping some Fanatics cards, Topps cards. And at first I thought maybe this was genuine when I first saw a post, but then when I kept seeing her more and more, and I saw her at more events and seeing there, I'm like, oh.
What was
you
she
know,
opening?
a lot of Star Wars, but she was also opening like she said she first started because she was looking with her boyfriend or fiance, whatever it is, for the Tom Brady inscription Bowman card that had come out last year or 2023 maybe. But that being said, she's since opened like a lot of Star Wars product and some other stuff too.
So you think all that is like manufactured?
yeah, I
Like
do.
Topps is like, all right, here's a check.
Yeah, I do.
Grow the product or grow whatever you
Yeah,
need to do.
I do. I think all of that. Yeah, I don't. It doesn't feel
there's
natural.
not, you know,
I get it.
I don't think there's anything wrong with it. You know, like
No.
celebrity.
Yeah,
You
no,
know.
there's a reason why they do it. It grows. It puts the idea that these cards are out there just to begin with to a wider audience,
Yeah.
and hopefully brings in more people. I get it and I appreciate it.
That's why
but
Logan
at the same
Paul's
time,
a WWE superstar.
well, when we're promoting like the authenticity of our partnerships, which is a big thing that Michael Rubin likes to talk about, it's like, nah,
I gotcha.
I want it too, Rubin. I do, buddy. I'm on the same page. But let's call a spade a spade. I
Yeah.
don't like to be sold, like just tell me I'm being sold. And then, I don't have to worry about it as much.
Gotcha.
But again, I guess if people knew they were being sold, then they would defeat the purpose and they would just tune out altogether until they got to the thing that they really wanted.
Got
So
it.
Kevin Hart.
Are you going to be in the new Kevin
has
Hart
been-
movie?
Kevin Hart has asked me to be his co-pilot in his new buddy comedy.
Big Mama's House
It's a
7?
buddy cop dramedy. Is what we're calling it.
Dramedy.
Yeah. I have an eating disorder because I have to drop 200 pounds for this, by the way. So
Oh.
it's a big thing. There's a lot of moving parts, a lot of work to be done. Now, what I was actually going to talk about that, besides the buddy dramedy, was I hear about him at all of these events. I have yet to see him and or his crowd around him.
He's real short.
He is really short, and that could be it. I just never see him at any of these things. But he's supposedly always there, and I'm sure other people have. I've seen social media.
I saw a
with him
couple
there, so.
clips of him behind a booth trying to sell.
I saw
cards.
something about that. Yeah,
So
I
I
know.
mean, I don't know.
I will say too, I did buy a prismatic ETB while I was there.
You did?
Nothing. I got nothing.
Did you open it?
Yeah, of course I did.
Wow.
Hey, how much should I have paid for a prismatic ETB?
I think market is like 95.
Oh, cool.
What'd you pay?
Cool. Not 95.
What'd you pay?
120.
Wow, that's high.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah. Market,
I
I
hadn't
think-
seen any
Did you
ETBs.
not look?
Oh, no, I just hadn't seen any ETBs for prismatic. I'd specifically gone looking for it, and this place had it, and it had it 120, and I was like, oh, that's not too far off of what I bought it at last.
Was it a Pokemon Center
No,
ETB?
no,
Okay.
it's not. So one thing I was going to mention was Magic the Gathering had one of these like collaborative sets that came
Final
out.
Fantasy.
Final Fantasy.
Have you been looking?
So
I actually wanted to bring that up too.
You did. Good.
Yeah.
Good. I had no idea.
You didn't?
I had no idea, and I feel really bad about that because it's like, oh, that's something I should
It's
have an
huge.
idea about. Like I should know that's coming. I didn't. That's on me. I don't know why I didn't see that on my list, but
It's selling really well.
It is selling.
Did you see the chases with the the birds?
The Chocobos is, depending on which one you get, they're like 1,300 over. There are several like over $1,000. There's like a Japanese one that is. It says there's listings of $8,000. I don't know if anyone's paid that much, but there's definitely. It says there's some market prices of around like $3,750, something like that. The boxes apparently came out at, I think, at like $200 for a booster box.
Yeah,
the booster boxes, I believe now. Let's see, for a case of 6 of them. I mean, there was one that sold on the 16th. Well, this was a case of, this was actually for 15 of them. Let me see. A case just recently sold for $7,800 for 6 boxes sealed. That was a couple days ago on the 21st. There's another one that sold a couple days before that, $7,300. It's absolutely insane. I did not realize that was going to be a thing, that they would be so popular.
I don't think people know that it's a thing, because last that I looked, you can still find like booster packs at your local Walmart, Targets, and stuff like that.
I think that's the thing. Like, I think there's still opportunity out there. And that was going to be another thing I was going to talk about. But actually, before I jump to that other topic, it's a great segue, and I hate to lose it. But
segue it out, baby.
Before we segue it, I did want to just mention the Rolling Stone, the Prism Rolling, or I should say Panini Rolling Stone product came out. Did you see? Are you familiar at all with that? Did you see anything about that?
Vaguely. I think I randomly saw a post with Prism Rolling Stone, and I just thought maybe Prism had released a Rolling Stone product in the past, and someone pulled something cool out of it. But I guess this is a new product.
So it just came out. It is. I don't know. I can't really gauge, but I don't think it's doing great. I say I can't gauge because I was trying to see, like, I went to Blowout's website, and Blowout said they're sold out. And I think it came out at like $75 to $80 a box. I went to Steel City's site. They're still selling it at $80 a box. I've gone to eBay, and there's one sale for $75 a box. I haven't seen any other sales on there. There's a couple cards that I think have done a couple to $200-$300, which is cool, but I'm not seeing many cards that are doing that, and I don't think it's doing all that great.
Why is there a Rolling Stones?
Well, because people love Rolling Stones, and I'm gonna guess, if I had to guess, is that Panini could get the licensing on it fairly
just
cheap.
Like random, because they're like losing all the other licenses, and you're like, let's have a meeting. What can we get? What can we get? Oh, Rolling Stones, cool.
But here's the problem. You do that, and what you need to do is make sure you've got memorabilia pieces in there, autographs in there.
So what's the
chase?
Is there not autographs?
Ray, you got to let me finish before you ask your question. No, it's okay. You're jumping the proverbial Rolling Stone. Parallels, there's numbered cards, but there's not anything that, like, I would think real fans would really want.
I don't get like a piece of Mick Jagger's scarf or anything in there?
No. And so I don't get it. And I think that goes to the point of it's still $75 a box. It hasn't jumped like those Final Fantasies. I think they came out. Someone said like $200 a box, and now I guess they're doing close to $1,000 if you're doing the math correctly. I don't think you're going to see that same kind of jump with that product, and it's because I think they just kind of, they like
the Elvis and the Marilyn Monroe product that we talked about.
No, yeah.
Where there was like necklace pieces and hair and all that stuff.
Exactly.
That's what they need to have, and they're still alive.
I agree with you. By the way, I am looking, the most recent sold listing on eBay for the Final Fantasy Magic the Gathering box sold today, looks like for just under $1,500. So for a single booster box. That's crazy.
Today's price is not yesterday's price.
No, sir, it's not. And that I really need to know too if there's a differentiator here, because I'm also seeing other sales. Magic the Gathering Final Fantasy Collector Booster ×2 for $250.
That's like the hollow looking booster.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then there's this other one that I just mentioned, the Magic the Gathering Final Fantasy Collector Booster Box, English, and it says it sold for $14.90. I don't understand what the difference is here because the naming seems to be the same, but it doesn't look the exact same. It doesn't look like it's got the same hollow pattern on the outside. But yeah,
It might be like a.
I wish
it
the
could be like
naming
an
was a little
ETB.
clearer so I could
Yeah.
tell. Like one says like Omega box in the titling, and that looks more similar to the other. So I think that's what it is. It's like there's a Omega collector box, and then there's
Let us
the
know,
actual
listeners.
ones.
Put it down in the comments on Spotify. What's the difference if you're a big Magic the Gathering player?
Yeah, I would have to assume it's like the foils and things like that, though, that are going to have the more expensive Chocobo. Cards in there. All right, but kind of to back up a little bit, so I can go back to my nice segue of the eBay sales going from Magic the Gathering. The sold price on some of these are approaching $7,800 for a case. Marvel 2025 Marvel is absolutely insane.
Do you still have any product
I don't right now.
but it's coming?
I will have some.
Like,
I did confirm
On the Sports Boy price, or are we talking about?
there'll be. I'm going to do my very best to be the best price break out there.
Ooh, you heard it here first.
It doesn't mean I can give it away, and I will tell you that it is not going to be cheap just because I have to at least recoup what I paid for it. I can't talk about pricing specifically, but it is a very
You're still working that out?
well, no, it's worked out. It's a very expensive product, and bottom line though, it's selling. Like if you look at eBay, I checked on some comps right before the show. Base Spider-Man, just a base card, is selling for like $7 to $10. Which here's the thing: it's a base card of a non-sport card. That doesn't happen all that often.
Yeah.
Where they're like selling that high. Jeff the Land Shark has a Future Stars insert, non-numbered, not anything, but it's selling for $15. Jeff the Land Shark, I think, is like a sleeper character. Apparently, it's becoming a much more popular character.
Is
in
this
these
like
breaks.
does the character look like a shark, or is it like
Yes.
a man that?
It very much looks like an animated cartoon shark.
Okay.
Yeah, like from a tiny kid's cartoon. Like
I'm
that's what it
feeling
looks
that.
like.
I'm feeling that.
It's actually kind of fun. I like it too.
Shout out to Jeff the Land Shark.
I saw what was interesting. I saw this was a few days ago. I guess it was June 20th. There was a sale of an out of 10 Iron Man, just a base Iron Man card.
Out of 10?
Out of 10. And it sold for $2,500. So $2,500. I will tell you that I thought that was interesting because I compared. There was a sale on June 16th. Now, this was the day that this new product came out, so not many people had seen it. But the day that product came out, that Iron Man card sold for $1,300, and it was also out of 10. Also, just the base.
Same.
So it was almost like half of what the new product did. And what I'm noticing is people are really basing their valuations on the actual look of these cards, which makes me feel like it's really a genuine approach to buying and pricing out this product. It's not just like, hey, I'm deeming this to be the hit and that's what you're going to pay for it. And so I'm going to list all my stuff at the highest price. Last year, like Wolverine was a higher price card, but Wolverine's art was awful. Like the base card did not look good. This year, the Wolverine looks like a cool looking Wolverine, and it's more expensive. I'm noticing a lot of people are pricing it at the same price as they did Spider-Man in this product, which is Spider-Man's typically the highest price one.
Two heavy hitters.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it definitely seems like people are more attracted to the fact that it's a big character, but also they did better with the artwork.
Nice.
They did better with the inserts. The Future Stars.
You were complaining about how many inserts there were going to be.
There were, but here's what I found out too. So this is another nice update when it comes to the Marvel.
call you?
I didn't get a call, which I would have loved to call, but I guess it actually already came out by the time I was talking about it. The inserts, many to most of, well, at least probably like a third to half of them, are very, very rare. So it's not like you're going to have them in every box, which is cool because now you have a few more chases in there, rare chases. The inserts that are in there, like the Future Stars one, I think I was confused because I thought it was like a rookie card, but it's actually what they do in the other sports baseball products when it's the year after the rookie.
Oh.
So that's what that is. That's why some of those characters are in there. I also did find out that, and I don't think I said this on the last pod, but the reason why they have some characters in there that don't have rookie or the first appearance designation is because they had not come out in the comic book series in between the last product release and this product release. That is what's designating as first. Not the first book. Exactly. Not the first time that they made a card of it, but it's the first time
it's like the first appearance
since they actually put them into the comic book universe, and it's the first product release since then. So in this case, there's a few of them that were just released in the MCU or the MC comic book universe.
Yeah, don't get it twisted.
But those are the ones that would have first designations, and that's how they'll continue to do it. I like that.
All this, everything that we just talked about, the inserts, the specific like rookies being in the comic book. Is this why the product is so popular?
Well, so it's funny. I think the comic connection is making it's playing a big part because you're opening it up to another audience. Yeah. And this is what I found out as well. Ooh, now I'm gonna release a little it's not breaking news. This is something I feel a few people know about this. But Michael Midget, who's
shout out to Midget.
He came on the first episode. He's been on a couple episodes. He reached out to me last week. He gives me a call and he tells me that
Jesse.
That's it. How did you know? But he says there's a comic book shop over in Madison, Tennessee, not far from us, that had a case of 2025 Marvel. I'm like, whoa, what? Are you sure that's what they have? Because Sheps, they didn't get any. Local card, like your card shops, did not get any.
So the comic book shops are getting.
But apparently, they have been making a big push to get product into the hands of comic shops.
Wow.
I guess an opportunity for some people, or just, hey, if you're looking for product and you want to buy it, I got a place for you. Comic book shops around the country are now getting this product. Not everyone. And I'll tell you, I called about 50 to 75 comic book shops on Thursday when I landed in New York.
Wow.
Not all in New York. Some were in New York, some were in Tennessee, some were across the country.
Yeah. I'm going.
I just started calling them and I was like, hey, do you guys have any of this? Because I say all this because they are pricing it at what the initial release price was.
Which they don't know.
They have no idea that it's like they even look at comps and they're just like, yeah, it could do that, but it might not.
Our clientele won't.
Exactly. And that's what they're afraid of because it's so expensive compared to even at the earlier pricing, it's more expensive than what they're used to paying for something like that. So in their minds, they're like, oh, I got to recoup this cost fast any way I can because I'm afraid this is a real risk for me buying this kind of thing. And they don't know if they have the audience for it. So they don't realize that, there's actually plenty of markets that will buy it for even more than what they're selling it for. But right now, if I go to, in fact, let me just look what it is. I don't think I looked for a box of 2025 Marvel right now. I can tell you though that they're selling it from anywhere between like $325 to $375 a box. To look on eBay sales right now, and let me just look at the most recent sales for a box.
I'm guessing.
So some of these are selling. Actually, I did see one. One was out of the blue. It sold for really cheap. I think that was a fluke. Sold for $400.
Wow.
But then all the other ones I'm saying are like $490, $475. So most people are selling it for like $475. Yeah, that one's $980 for 2 boxes. So yeah. So I would say most people are selling it from $450 to $475 or higher.
Gotcha.
And they are doing that because the price is only going to go up. The part of this though is that if they're selling this box at like $325, $370, they're still able to make a little bit of money on it based on what they got it for. But that means there's still people out there who they could have some product at their local comic shop where they would have never thought to look and go buy something.
I would have never thought.
Exactly. So
that's good
if
info.
you guys
Shout
are
out to Midget.
if you guys are looking for product right now, if you guys are looking for 2025 Marvel product, it may not be that affordable coming up unless you're getting into a break or something like that for a single box. But you could possibly find yourself a decent deal at a comic book shop. So now that being said, they are booster boxes. The booster boxes there are selling for like $50. That's really not that great of a deal, which is funny to me that they're comfortable with the price point of high? Well, there's still like a numbered card in each one.
Guaranteed?
I think it's a guarantee. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There's a numbered card in there. There's a couple yellow parallels, which they're not numbered. There's just for hobby boxes.
Like exclusive to the blaster?
Exactly. And then there's like a couple inserts that are exclusive to that. Those aren't selling as well because they're just for the hobby boxes, but they're doing okay resale wise. But that said, these cards, like a booster box, is selling for $50 on eBay as well. So it's not like you're getting an incredible deal. And I find that funny because it's like, well, I'm getting a much better deal on a hobby box at a comic book shop than I am on eBay, but not for the booster box. And I think it's, again, goes back to my point of they're just not comfortable. Yeah, the blaster box. I think they're just not comfortable with that price point of selling something because every time I would ask, like, okay, you do have some, how much is it? And they would tell me it's like, it's like $350, $375 is what the last one. I do it for $370. And I was just like, I'll tell you what, can I do two for like $350 or something? And they're like, yeah, okay. Now, granted, I only got like 5 boxes doing it this way.
So out of you calling all these stores, you actually found some stores.
I only found, well, so here's what I did also find. And this is where we're coming into
Look at Jesse.
Well, I'm trying to get it where it's like I can get this product at a decent price where it's like I don't have to charge what they're currently charging for breaks and things like that. But that said, a lot of these shops are still in the Stone Age, man. If you're a shop owner or if you have some kind of influence over a comic book shop owner and or card shop owner for that matter, because I think this is already the case if you're a card shop owner because you can't really get Topps allocation without this. But you have to, if someone calls you and they say, hey, they want to buy your product and you say, okay, well, I'm only selling it in person. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'll pay more to ship it. I'll pay the shipping cost, and I'll even pay a premium for it.
Like, no,
let me go.
They don't want to do the work.
I'll tell you, it's our policy that we don't. But I'll tell you what. Let me call you back. Let me call the owner and just see. I was like, okay, well, do that. Get a call back. Talk to the owner. Can't do it. The guy owns 3 different locations of this comic shop in Texas. I'll tell you, guy won't ship product. Like they're just sitting on it. They're sitting on boxes of 2025 Marvel. They will sell it for. I think it was like. I think this was in the Dallas area. I want to say maybe Denton. I'll go ahead.
Lives in Denton, Texas.
I'll just tell you, Keith's Cards.
Come on,
you ever
Keith.
heard of Keith? Keith specifically was called apparently and asked, "Hey, can we ship product?" No, that's our policy. We don't ship. I'm like, how is this a thing that you have this? You're sitting on it. It's expensive. You're trying to move it because they're not selling it at crazy prices.
Not at Keith's.
And they wouldn't take my money. It was hard.
Take my money.
So that being said,
anybody lives in Dalton?
Denton, which is
Texas
around Dallas. So
contact your local Keith's trading cards.
I mean, if there's
comic book shop.
What's funny too is when I got to New York on Thursday, I got there early. My flight was very disgustingly early. I got in before I started calling all those comic shops. I did call the first one, the closest one to me was a few blocks away. I was like, yeah, let's just try this. I'm going to call one. They had 2 boxes there.
Wow.
And then I called another one that is owned by the same company. They had 1 box. The other one didn't have any left. They just had packs and boosters. And then there was another comic book shop, not owned by them, that was selling them for $500 a box. So I was just like, okay, I can't do the $500 one. But I'll go over to these.
Keith's, I'll tell you that.
So I took like an Uber over to a few of these, and I bought 3 in New York and then I bought 2 online through another from Outer Limits, actually, from that one down in Murfreesboro, which they were all very great. And the other ones are either didn't get it, wish they got it, never heard of it, or
what are you talking about, son?
Or they're sold out. And that was the case for most people was, I don't know, haven't heard of it, or we only do comics. So there you go. Your comic book shops, they're trying to push into that space, which makes sense for this product. But at the same time, you may run into an issue where they might have I would say double check. If someone comes back to you and says, if they just flat out answer, no, we don't have that, tell them to double check, because I feel like a lot of these people are just like, they're so used to not carrying cards in their shops that they just assume they don't have any. When I had a couple people call me back and be like, oh, actually, you know what? We did have it, but we're all out. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, because they wanted to sell me on like, well, in the future, if you want to come get more. So yeah. Anyways,
I'm just thinking about the Simpsons comic book guy. Like everyone that you're calling, they're just
I don't know,
so
man.
disgusted to hear. It's like, you're looking for what?
I will say I had a lot of really positive conversations. No one was like a complete jerk to me. I did make like, when I was doing this, I started.
So do you know who you're talking to, Sports Boy?
I didn't throw names out there. I didn't want to be that guy. But
highest listed trading card
non-sport card show in the world, buddy. I started making notes after I would take a screenshot. So
what are you screenshotting?
I would screenshot the call I was on, because it would show the name of the shop. So this one, I screenshotted one. It said, "More fun comics and games." It says, "Owner's policy, no shipping at any time." They had them for $330 a box. Keith's Comics was the other one. That one is actually out of Dallas.
Comics, yeah.
He says, guy called back, talked to the owner. No possible way to ship.
No possible.
That was a direct quote.
I just don't want to do the work.
So anyways,
look at you, but doing the due diligence by calling all those. I just picture you like the old operator, like unplugging a cord and plugging it in here. And
New York City was hot on Thursday. It's hot right now. It was hot on Friday. It was hot the whole time we were in Fanatics Fest. After I had gone to those first 3 comic book shops, I was like, it's brutal out there. I'm like, I'm just going to lay on my bed and I'm just going to start calling comic shops. And that's what I did for the rest of the evening. And I'll probably do that before this episode releases.
Twirling your hair while you're
what are you guys thinking about? And do you have Marvel cards? Yeah, that's
your
pretty
feet
much how it went.
Like up,
crossed,
barefoot.
That all said as well, a nice little segue plug, DC Sports 87, the consigner that I use for basically all of my non-sport consigning needs. Not only do they still have their TCG special, so
90%?
95% payout. 95% payout for all cards that are sent in before June 30th. There's only 30 days in June, right? The last day of June. I believe that's June 30th.
7 days from now.
30 days has September, April, June.
And November.
Yep, there it is. Nailed it. So get your cards into them. I sent in, this is what I did. I sent in some higher value stuff, and I also sent in some like a little bit lower value. I sent in like some cards that I know are worth $5 to $10, $15, maybe up to $30. I sent in 40 of those Pokemon cards. And you know what was nice? Because I kept thinking, I'm not setting up at shows selling Pokemon normally, especially non-graded. But yeah, I could. But I was like, you know what? This is nice. I just send it all to them, and I don't have to worry about a thing. I don't have to take pictures of it all. I don't have to list it all. It's all done for me. That alone, I would have paid much more than the 5% payout cost that I'm going to have to pay. Which, you know, after the special is over, it will go back to somewhere around like maybe 15 to 20%. But still, I would pay it just because it's like, it's just going to sit there, and those are the ones I'm not collecting or I don't care about. So I also have listed right now, I pulled an out of 5 Mystique out of Marvel, not this year's Marvel, but last year's Marvel. So 2024 X-Men. Mystique from X-Men.
What's the
played
actress?
By Jennifer Lawrence or Rebecca Romaine Stamos, previously Stamos.
Better than...
you think Rebecca Romaine better than Jennifer Lawrence?
I think so.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll accept it.
What do you think?
You know what? I'm trying to think of her in the movie.
In the movie.
Yeah,
we're talking
in
about
the
the movie,
movie.
not the actress overall.
Maybe.
As Mystique.
Yeah.
I think she did a better job.
I think you might be right. Wow. I didn't really think about it
Just
much.
throwing it out there.
But I will say how do I say this without sounding crude?
Easy. You're a
I
married man.
find Jennifer Lawrence maybe more attractive in a conventional sense than Rebecca Romaine in the
Really?
other.
I have to disagree. Put it down
You're
in the
making
comments.
a lot of points right now that I'm like
Pull 'em
racking
up.
my head of all the
Pull 'em
memories of
up.
X-Men right now. I'm like, I don't know what I think anymore. All I know is my wife is the most beautiful woman
Yeah.
in the world. And Brittany is the most beautiful
That's right.
woman to Ray. So there you go, wives. We've covered you well. But that all being said, I noticed that card is, it seems like, at least at this point, is doing better than the Mystique out of 2025 Marvel, because the Mystique 2025 Marvel, the artwork is not as good as the 20. It's one of the rare instances where it went reverse, because most of the cases, the 2025 artwork has been better than 2024. But I feel like Mystique went the other way. That's a personal opinion. I don't know if everyone can shares that, but it does seem like that as far as how it's up on auction right now with DC Sports. I would be curious if it does better than what some of the other Mystiques are doing.
Gotcha.
So, what else was there? Oh, one other promotion too was Courtyard.io, continuing to work with these guys. They're awesome. We're working on a giveaway too, so that'll be fun coming up.
We're giving. What are we giving away?
They did mention this, that if you are trying to do the first time, basically the free vending machine try that they have on their site, you are using the code HOBBY. It's not working because they've currently got that paused. They think it'll be back in the next week or two. They said if you DM them on Instagram, just tell them, hey, I tried to use it. It wasn't working. They'll set up your account and they'll take care of you.
Oh,
so
nice.
that's one cool thing. The other thing is what I mentioned on last episode. This was right before they announced that they are going to start having comic books, vending machine, a comic book vending machine, which is really cool. This is like, I've not seen anybody else doing comic books. I've seen multiple sites do something similar with cards, but not comics. And so they now have done that. I've heard several people had very positive reactions to it, because you're not getting like a $10 comic book out of here. It is a little bit more expensive to do this. I think it's like $200, but the minimum I think is, I want to say $125, maybe $150 for your comic book. In fact, I'll just double check that while I'm talking about it. But they said since that, it's been a week. Since then, they have had $1 million in comic book sales.
Wow.
That's insane to me. I would not have thought in a week's time.
Have you had a comic book guy on the pod?
No, I
We need
haven't.
to have a comic book guy on
Yeah,
the pod.
maybe a comic, because I actually had someone make a comment about like, hey, what's with all this like non-card talk recently? And I do get
It's a
that.
hobby. We're all encompassing.
And I am like a very much focused on the card side of things, because I know my bread and butter, but at the same
Bust
time,
out the monkey paw.
yeah, I will occasionally be expanding to other things. And comics, I think, is a natural progression. But yeah, 100 to 150 is the worst case scenario you can do on one of the comics. But you can also, they've got ones valued up to $3,200. So
Are they selling them like raw comics? Like
no, it's all
bagged
graded,
and
all CGC
graded.
graded comics.
Have you seen? And I know
PSA?
we're talking about the new PSA label for the
So,
graded comics.
I think
that
the
a
PSA
segue?
label looks a little cheap to me. I don't know. I'm curious what your thought
Well,
is.
the PSA labels in general look cheap.
I agree. I do agree. I don't care for that fact. But at the same time, the fact that it's PSA makes me wonder, is that going to overtake the CGC? Because CGC's been there for a long time doing this, and they've gotten a lot of respect in the graded comic book community. I am curious, does that continue now that PSA's entered the space?
As a collector of PSA graded cards,
Mm-hmm.
if I were to collect comics and I wanted them graded, I would have to go with PSA.
Yeah, exactly. I think, and that's what
Because
they're counting
that's
on.
the name.
Exactly. Yeah, I think you're buying a name.
You're
for
buying
sure.
the name.
And
that's
just
why-
don't know if it's going to be worth the time and money, because I have to imagine you're going to pay more and you're going to have a short or a longer turnaround time. I would assume.
Yeah, I
Maybe
get that.
I'll be wrong.
I
but that
mean,
would
you
be my
never know.
assumption.
But this brings up a good point. I was just thinking of my flipper mentality here. This could be a good opportunity for someone to either, depending on which one is higher, if it's still CGC or if it's PSA, there's an opportunity to buy, let's say, a Spider-Man comic PSA graded.
Mm-hmm.
That's way cheaper than a CGC for the same grade, and then cross grade them or crack them, and
Yeah. That's true. I am curious too, because I would think that there's probably going to be a promotion to try and get a lot of business at first. Mm-hmm. If I'm PSA, I'm probably going to offer something pretty cheap at the beginning. Do it probably as soon as they start doing it. Because when do they start? Do you know?
I don't know. I got the email, I think, last week, something like that.
Start grading comics.
PSA Comics.
I am, but it just says 2025. I don't have a date there. So I'm not sure yet. I don't think it's been announced as far as like a specific date of when that will start. But whenever that is, I would imagine that they are going to offer actually here's a article.
I'm curious to see what a comic book costs.
So it says July 14th.
July 14th.
July 14th is when PSA will start grading comic books. The question will be, how does that affect CGC grading? How does that compare with pricing and delays? How much time will it take to actually have something graded? Will that affect the card market? Will that take your cards now even longer to get graded over there?
There has to be a separate division.
I would hope
like
so.
A separate, whatever the address that you get sent them into, it has to be separate.
Yeah. So these are questions.
You can't have the same person that's grading a comic book graded card or vice versa.
Yeah, you would think. You would think that would have. Well, I don't know, because everything I hear is like there's training involved at these grading companies, right? So it's like you got to be trained to do this. It's not.
Do we know anybody that's worked for?
I'm sure we could find somebody.
A graded card company.
Ooh, that would be fun to talk to somebody.
Someone. If you were a former employee, hit us up in the DMs.
If you
don't
can
send
talk
any
about
feet pics, just
But anyways, yeah, there you go. That's a few things. Courtyard, DC, I talked about that. We talked about Marvel. By the way, going back to the Marvel, I will have breaks listed, I believe, for this Friday.
The lowest on the market.
I mean, that's
Magneto,
the hope.
Come on.
That's the hope. I was told that I should be getting cases by this Friday, I think, because it goes out today. So
what's your favorite card?
The Claude Chrome. The Claude cards are my favorite. Claude is my German friend.
Jean-Claude Van Damme?
No, this joke has been made on the other pod, and I don't think you knew that. That's funny that we would do that again here.
We're merging multiverses.
That's what's happening. The Claude cards are the ones that have the Wolverine claw marks in the middle where it's die cut out the...
Are you saying claw or Claude?
Claude. I don't know how to...
Claude.
I'm going to spell it for you. CLAWED.
Oh, okay. Like action. It got clawed.
Yeah, someone clawed up... That dog clawed up that rug real good.
Your Southern's coming out real hard.
I'm not even fishing right now, and it's coming out. The Claude card is a very popular card in this set.
And that's it's
where it's torn up. It's basically just... It's a base card, or it's got the design of a base card that has been slashed in the middle.
Slashed. Insert?
Yeah. Should they have just called it slashed instead of Claude?
Yeah.
But Claude Chrome, the alliteration really rolls off.
Do you have any?
No,
that we can look
do not. I did 2 breaks. It seems to be 2 per case. It seems to be
per case.
What I've been finding. But that's what's great about it too, is like your spot, even so this is one of the benefits that prices have to go up because it's coming out to the breakers and the card shop owners at higher prices, is that if it's going to come out of these prices, it's going to be spread among many of the characters, probably all the character spots, all 200 spots, because you have every card will have that option of having a Claude variation to it. There's only 36 for every single character, because there's an out of 20, an out of 10, an out of 5, and a 1 of 1.
Gotcha.
So there's only 36 Claude cards for every single character.
Slash cards. Quit playing footsie with me,
Is
Jesse.
that your foot? So I do think that is one of the benefits, one of the reasons why, again, prices are going up.
Have you pulled a Jeffrey the Land Shark slash card?
I'm going to go ahead and tell you just Jeff.
No, hey,
Jeffrey. Well, that's fair. Jeffrey's a child's name, and it is a child-looking card. I have pulled some. Nothing like really rare, but
nothing slashed or clawed.
No, but I did pull I mentioned how I went to these comic book shops in New York, bought some hobby boxes. I also bought a couple booster boxes for myself while I was there, and I bought 10 single packs from a hobby box. So
you're running those on your auction?
No, I bought them for me. Jesse bought those for Jesse. I
Sealed
opened
wax,
it all.
you keep it. Oh, you
I
already
already opened it in the hotel room.
Degenerate.
I know. I get high on my own supply. That being said, in the purest form possible, I pulled an out of 25 Mockingbird anniversary card, which Mockingbird's not a very big character, but Mockingbird.
Edgar Allan Poe? No, that's the Raven, right?
That's the Raven.
What's the Mockingbird?
That would be To Kill a Mockingbird.
To Kill a Mockingbird.
Atticus Finch.
Yes.
A few other famous characters.
Bo Bradley? Is that?
Yeah, baby.
Okay.
And also, Mockingbird is a Marvel character.
Okay.
So, pulled an out of 25 of
Were
that.
you in the same English class that I was in high school?
Bro, our ADDs are melding in a way that I love, but also I'm afraid the audience is just lost interest.
Yeah.
I have to steer the ship on one pod.
Steer it.
I
I'm
need your
sorry.
help steering the ship on this
I
pod.
got
I
you.
can't
I
do
got
both steerings.
Me too.
So I pulled an out of 25 Mockingbird. That was the lowest one. I pulled a Iron Man parallel of Invisible Woman. I also pulled an out of 100. No. It was out of, what was the blue? I think it's out of 199. Invisible Woman, and then a couple other, like a Miles Morales out of 399. That was cool. But other than that, those were some of the bigger cards I hit. But it was cool because I actually was like, man, I'm so pumped to open more. I had to hold myself back from ripping open some of those hobby boxes that I had gotten while I was there. So I can't wait to do more breaks. Like I said, I should have product in. I'm planning to do the break on Fanatics Live this Friday. Probably do it like starting at 6 p.m. Central, 7 Eastern. So
is the Invisible Woman, like, what does the card look like? She's just wearing like clothes and you don't see.
It's just nothing on there. It's just like, it's her because it says the name.
Invisible Woman.
It says Invisible Woman and it's just blank.
You know what's funny about this conversation? There is a
how amazing would that be if that was the case though?
There is a John Cena action figure that's fixing to release for SummerSlam, and he's transparent.
No way.
Swear. Even the box art is just like a hat and a shirt, but there's no like face.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Oh, I love that. That's so good. That is good. I hope that sells. I guarantee you that's a flipped item.
It's coming on in like a shipper, like with a bunch of action figures for SummerSlam.
Yeah.
Hitting Walmart's here pretty soon. So
okay.
Yeah. I already know all the people that work at Walmart
Do you really?
Yeah. Because I'm in there like looking for, I'm like, hey, you guys
got that Labubu in yet?
the
Where's
cards
that
in
Pokemon
there?
in? Yeah. All right. Well, tell me this. Do they have any Final Fantasy cards there? I mean,
last time I checked, they had some booster packs. Yeah.
bro.
Yeah. I was there this morning.
All right. Well, hey, you want to go down there? We'll go split it. You go
Will you buy all the booster packs?
I mean, maybe. I don't know. Well, I want that Chocobo.
Which one?
Did you play Final Fantasy at all?
Oh, yeah. I was a big Final Fantasy 10.
10. Yeah.
With the
PlayStation
Blitzball?
2. Yeah, baby. Blitzball.
Yeah.
Man, the Machina. Yeah, I used to play. My brother was very good at it.
Yeah, shout out to Jacob.
You remember Jacob?
Yeah. I'm a big Jacob fan.
There's a lot of, Jacob thinks that he didn't have many fans.
I'm a big Jacob fan.
No,
the dark hair?
Yeah,
Come
he had
on.
dark hair. He has a very ethnic look to him, even though he was just as Irish and white as me. But he always looked like our Native American side of the family, which I found out after doing 23andMe.
Yeah?
That does not exist. I don't have any Native American side of the family. I was told that my great-great-grandmother was full-blooded Choctaw, and that's not
Does that get
apparently
like,
the case.
for lack of a better term, breaded out?
I'm sure it does, but technically we were supposed to be like 1/16. My mom would be like 1/8. But and that's where we said, oh, the dark hair comes from. This is not for the podcast, but I kind of love it at the same time.
Let us know, guys.
This is the nonsense of hobby nonsense, baby. So anyway.
I did drink a Red Bull before I got here, so my apologies.
Well, that's the problem, bro. Never drink energy drinks for a podcast.
And as the man chews like caffeinated gum.
I know I am chewing a very caffeinated gum, and that's my own fault, but that's neither here nor there. That's the end of the show. It's been hobby nonsense. It's been an absolute pleasure is what it's been. Can't wait for next week's episode. I do want to do this. I'm putting a call out for specifically a Lorcana person, someone who knows it well, not only like the gameplay. If you know how to do the gameplay, that's great. But I would like to know someone who also knows like the different cards, the pricing, what makes it popular, where it's going, what you think over it overall.
I heard that's not doing well. Like
really?
In the secondary market.
Really? You heard that?
Dude, when the first wave hit, man, I made so much money.
Did you really?
Oh, so much money.
Oh, you just flipped it?
On Whatnot?
Oh, really?
Just like I was selling packs for like $20 a piece.
Oh, geez. Okay, yeah.
And someone hit the Elsa.
Oh,
on one
really?
of the packs.
Oh, dang. I still have a 4-box booster, or not 4-box chapter 1
Chapter
case. 1? Yeah. I don't know what I'll do with that.
It's a weird box because there's no saran wrap around it, and you can easily get to the
Yeah.
They made it.
I know. It was a bad design, but Ray, I feel like we're getting closer and closer to me just asking to be the permanent host.
We need to just iron that out. Let us know, guys. Put it down in the comments.
What do you think about Ray? Can you go ahead and give your honest feedback?
Or give us...
He will read it, so, you know.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know how to read. We went to the same high school.
So did Taylor Swift, and she's doing great. She doesn't know how to
true.
read either, but that's just a different point. Thank you for listening, guys. Goodbye.
Bye.